So go and welcome to So You Think That Was Good, Do You? A podcast where we take a look back at the films from your childhood and question the absurdity of their universes. My name is Evan, and I have a confession for you, listeners. I am no longer the infallible and perfect host you've come to know. You see, we recorded and were to release an episode about The Faculty 1998 before this. It was a pretty good episode from the recording. I didn't get to editing it, but I'm about to cover that. As I am a colossal fucking moron, I was clearing up my disk space and just Control-F'd something I tag on all my singular tracks, and I just deleted them all permanently. It's no getting it back. I absolutely fucked it. So these boys watched a movie and did a load of notes for absolutely nothing. And so it is my well-deserved punishment to guide you through this week's movie, Super Mario Bros. 1993. And to oversee my punishment, I am joined by Pantile and Carl, the two boys that I have slighted so harshly. I'm so sorry, boys.
Devastated.
How are you doing?
I'm devastated, mate.
We're going to sit quietly while you do your retake.
Yeah.
We did ours. Our recordings are still here.
A 2 hour plus of you just ad-libbing in your own funny bits.
If you want, I could take my audio from this, put it into the faculty one, and we can release 2 episodes this week.
Bonus episode. It makes zero sense.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was bad. Other than that, how are you doing?
Good, mate. I'm alright. Yeah, I was just saying off air that there's been a man walking up and down our street calling people robots and paedophiles all day, so I'm hoping he doesn't come past. Otherwise that might make for some interesting audio, but yeah, other than that, good.
I hope he doesn't, because I hate editing 4-person episodes.
Yeah, I'm good. I didn't have plans today or anything. Glad to be back for another recording.
So soon. Well, you get to go away after this. Poor Johnny's got to sit with me again this week because of my mistake.
We're going to do the sequel of this because I know how much you love this one.
There isn't a sequel. Yeah. Please, no.
They made 4 of them.
What?
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Oh.
One came out this year, though, 2023.
Yes, it did. Chris Pratt, famous Italian actor.
Yeah.
Not like Bob Hoskins.
Well, he ate a lot of spaghetti in this, which I'm sure we'll get to. Well, let's get started, as we always do, with a plot synop. Carl, I know you sent me that one from ChatGPT, but I could not face reading it. I tried cutting it down, but it was still just unbearable. Yeah, just me practicing it.
I sent one in the style of Mario, which turned out to just be adding the letter A after every few words. And I think we just crossed the line into racism, to be honest, so I'm glad you're not doing it.
Well, instead I've gone to the usual source, the shitty top of Google, so here we go. Brooklyn plumbers Mario and Luigi get the shock of their lives when they discover a parallel world populated by the intelligent descendants of dinosaurs. It seems they weren't destroyed by a meteor millions of years ago, but hurled into another dimension, and now they have plans to rule our world. It's up to our unlikely heroes to battle the evil King Koopa and his Goomba guards, free the beautiful Princess Daisy, and save mankind in this adventure of a lifetime.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Nothing I described then was Mario, though.
Everyone knows that meteorites split dimensions. Everyone knows that. That's common knowledge. I will say from the outset that I'm going to be heavily in the defence of this film because it is pivotal in my nostalgic brain. It's one of those ones that was recorded off the telly. Yeah, I must have watched it dozens of times when I was little, so yeah, I'm gonna be back in it, I reckon.
Well, unlike Johnny, I don't think, Cole, you've not seen this before, have you?
I had not, and I really wish that had remained the same, because I was just saying before we started, I started watching this in the AM and finished about 5 p.m. today. I've never taken so many breaks. I've never been so angry.
I know this is supposed to be my punishment, but usually I feel like that for your picks, Carl. It's nice for you to be in the same space. Awesome stuff. Well, I haven't seen this before either, so I have none of the sentimentality, but it is nice to have some balance here. So let's see as we go, eh? And I'll begin the movie I was going to say, as we usually do, but this doesn't begin with a panning shot of some random shit from the film. This is like quite a cool intro. It's sort of a pixely version of how the world was 65 million years ago. So very reminiscent of what the games were.
16-bit or 32-bit style.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And it's Brooklyn 65 million years ago, and this is where the meteor comes down. We see it come in on the pixels and it crashes, and it explains that the impact of the meteor creates a parallel dimension with the dinosaurs, presumably just from Brooklyn, not the entire world, survived and evolved into intelligent beings.
Yes.
Just as the plot
Makes
synopsis
perfect sense.
What if the dinosaurs weren't all destroyed? What if the impact of that meteorite created a parallel dimension where the dinosaurs continued to thrive and evolve into intelligent, vicious, aggressive beings?
Yes.
And what if they found a way back?
Yeah, perfect sense.
I mean, you know it makes fuck all sense when that's how they start the movie. Just a voiceover that goes, tell, don't show, we cannot. How do you show this?
I like the way that we're on the same evolutionary timeline as dinosaurs as well, even though we descended from apes and that we look exactly the same, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to all of that. We've got so much coming. Let's not put the brakes on here. So there's a second opening now where it's raining in New York, Brooklyn is presumably, and a woman places it's a rock, we find out later. It looks like a diamond at the time, but it's an important rock in the movie, into like a device, and knocks the door of this orphanage and then runs off. She knocks like 8 times in a row. Then she runs away though, like she should never have been caught. But I feel like it was like several cuts that were looped into one to make it... I don't know what the fuck was going on. I'm stalling us, boys! She retreats into the sewers. We go back to the nuns in the orphanage, and they open the device,
that's it.
and inside that is a fucking egg.
Yeah.
And they don't freak out. They're just like, ooh, egg! And then we come back to the sewer woman, and she's accosted by, presumably is King Koopa, back to the orphanage. Yeah, there's a lot happening. We've got to cover all this before we get to the actual movie. The egg cracks open, but inside the egg, it's just a fucking human baby, a naked human baby, and the mothers in this orphanage are like, oh, it's just a baby. But then the camera pans and shows you all of the baby.
Congratulations, it's a girl.
Yes!
This implies that humans in that universe lay giant eggs.
But just have human-looking vaginas, I guess. That must hurt.
Oh.
Gee, this egg is like the size of a football. It's. I thought it was something
big.
out of the Mandalorian. Yeah. It was Baby Yoda kind of pop out.
Did this not make those nuns question their faith a little bit? When
right?
A child is born from an egg.
As soon as these nuns see dinosaurs, God is out the window, bro.
And how do you know that woman's from a different dimension? Because nobody here would give their child to the Catholic Church.
Wouldn't they just assume that it was like the spawn of Satan? Like,
Yeah, you'd assume so, and it pretty much is.
Well,
The heir to some underworld dimension ruled by monsters.
makes perfect sense.
We are now introduced to the main characters of this movie, I guess, Mario and Luigi, and they own Mario Brothers Plumbing. Sorry, I've just remembered that their last name is Mario, but we'll get to that. And their slogan is, there's no leak too small. Luigi's like locked into this program on TV at the moment, which just happens to be on, about parallel universes, setting up, even though there's a guy who just voiced over the start of the movie telling us about parallel universes. This is his little setup for the rest of the movie. And Mario gets a call about some work. He really wants to find work. There's a lot of competition in New York for plumbing, apparently. And they're like struggling to get a job.
As they go into their apartment, did you see what they had on the wall? It was a gun rack, but with instead of guns, it was plumbers, fucking, what are they, the plungers. And I was like, it's either like a trophy case or a gun rack. Like, either way is pretty strange. I mean, I'm a tradesman and I don't keep my saws on the wall.
Plumbing defines Mario. Well, that and hitting on bitches. He is like the world's sexiest man in this movie. Like, nobody can see what he looks like.
Luigi also had one of those. Do you remember the pin things? Like the case of pins, and you put your hand on it or whatever, and it would do an imprint of your hand.
Yes.
That was a massive nostalgia hit for me. Do you remember having those? He put it on his face.
Got one in this room somewhere.
Have you, mate? I remember, you only ever put your hand or your face on it, or if you're feeling exotic, something else.
I I would do something else if I didn't fear someone else was putting their face in it soon.
Or you'd forget to get rid of the imprint and everyone would know.
You just put some more pin lines a bit further down.
So Mario and Luigi pop into their van because they've got to get to this next job quickly because there's so much competition. And just pausing it there, in this scene, for some reason, Luigi is wearing red and Mario is wearing green. I have no other notes about that. It just really annoyed me. This is the first time we're seeing them in those colours, and they've got them wrong.
That's the case for over half the movie. It's infuriating. Fucking strike one as far as I'm fucking concerned. They don't suit up until over an hour in.
Where is my super
it's
suit?
well over an hour, yeah. It's like an hour and 15, I think they finally suit up, and then there's only half hour of the movie left.
It's a very long half hour, though, to be fair.
It's all very long. So they arrive at the house, and Mario is furious that Scarpelli Plumbing has arrived there first.
Yeah, so in this world, you call every plumber in Brooklyn and see who arrives first, apparently. He got the phone call and said, yeah, we're on our way, and so then that person must have been like, well, call the next one, and then see who arrives first.
First come, first to serve. That's what it is in this universe. And set it for later, because I'm not sure how much we will mention him. Scarpelli is like the antagonist for the overworld. He's the guy Mario hates, and he's also an antagonist for Daisy, who we'll meet soon. But he disappears from the movie very soon, so he's not that important.
He must have been an antagonist 4 script rights ago or something, because he is irrelevant to any of it. Unless the outcome is that he becomes a monkey at the end.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, it all makes sense.
This guy's running a successful business, so he must be punished.
I think the thing is that he's like strong-arming people. He's like a mob boss, isn't he? Because they're threatening him.
Oh, we all hate students.
He says that, but like she infers it as a threat. But we find out that he's not even the one kidnapping the girls.
Yeah.
It's just the dinosaurs. So he was genuinely just saying to her, be careful, girl.
Well,
Students be missing. So we're exactly on that scene now. We cut over to the dig site where Scarpelli is. It's his dig site. He's building something. He's blasting in the ground because he's found some mineral or some bullshit. It doesn't matter. But in doing so, they found dinosaur bones unlike any other. So the university was called over, and Daisy from the games is a student in this universe. And she's helping dig up these bones. And you're right, Johnny. Scarpelli says here, girls are going missing in New York. You better hurry up here. So it is a bit of a veiled threat, but he wasn't really going to do anything. He didn't deserve what happened to him.
Friendly local businessman.
Daisy now runs over to a payphone nearby.
Nearby? She walks halfway across New York.
Well, the dig site wasn't in Brooklyn, and the movie needs her in Brooklyn to be near the Mario Bros. So she walks halfway across New York, and she bumps into Luigi at the payphone, and he like immediately infatuated with her and lets her go first. And she calls the university for more security. What the fuck are they gonna do? Send interns from a fucking security trainee course? They're not fucking security.
I like the way that she asked for more security when they have zero security. That they really any security. It could be one man with a spud gun, and that would be security.
Oh, I hated here as well how so Luigi's trying to flirt with Daisy because she needs to be in the movie with them. And Mario is like whispering in his ear what to say to her. And it's so sexually charged. I hate it. Like it's got real like incoming thrasom energy. And then he tells her to invite her out for dinner. But from her perspective, she must think she's going out with both of them. And they're going to fucking
she is.
group rail her.
Yeah,
well, yeah, but she doesn't
out.
know that not Peach is going to be there. What was her fucking name? Christina.
Imagine if she was really after Mario. And she was like, oh, the one giving him the suggestions is the real one that I'm after.
The useful one, the plumber. Fucking Luigi does no plumbing in this movie.
Although Bob Hoskins is obviously a brother of Luigi, whose name's escaped me. What's his name?
John Leguizamo?
They look so similar.
Do they?
No.
Oh, you're taking the piss. Yes.
They, despite both having black hair, they are probably 25 years different in age.
But are they related? Because in our next scene, she talks about how she was abandoned as a child. And John Leguizamo says, oh, you don't know who your parents are either.
Yeah,
Mario raised me. So either Mario's never mentioned mum and dad ever in the time they've been raised, or it's just some old dude who's raising him.
I did think that, because he doesn't refer. He says he was my mum, he was my dad, he was my brother, he was my uncle, he was everything. But he is his brother. So
yeah,
if he had been adopted, he would be his dad.
And Mario does mention his dad and his granddad later on when he says about the tool sayings he always spurts out to Luigi when they're fucking sabotaging the boiler room later on. But that's it.
Yeah.
This movie's all over the place. We don't need to drill into this whole parent stuff. So, yeah, this is where they're at dinner. This is a good place to add this, actually. So, Johnny, you said before we started that there were some scenes you didn't remember in this, on this rewatch. And it's because another director was brought in and added a whole bunch of other stuff. Like 20 minutes of walking around and eating dinner, stuff he thought would be useful exposition. His rationale was that people wouldn't understand if they jump from one place to another or something happens.
Thank God.
Without you being specifically told by a character.
Yeah.
So they added a bunch of these walking around scenes where characters are doing nothing. But then later on in the movie, they do just jump around when I could have used a tad of explanation for what was going on.
All they do is jump from scene to scene in this movie.
Seemingly teleporting.
So they filled the bottom half with these scenes.
Yeah, so
that's where they thought the exposition was needed. But I needed it later on when there were fucking dinosaurs and that.
So I assumed that I would like, because it was a film that was recorded off the telly on a video, and I assumed that like my dad just recorded it 20 minutes in, because I didn't remember any of the beginning. But maybe I do remember them racing around in the van though. So maybe that was early on. So I must have seen that. Maybe it's one of those things then. Yeah, peculiar place to edit that. Like you said, they could have done with it later on. I know you love
this, Johnny, but it's not the worst problem of this movie.
This film is flawless.
Daisy explains here that the element found in the rock means that the meteorite, it's something we've all been told, but the meteorite fell in Brooklyn 65 million years ago. And my bone of contention with this is that it must be why there's so much competition for plumbers in Brooklyn, because it's sitting in a huge fucking crater and constantly fills up with fucking water.
Everyone just needs bilge pumps in their houses.
And yet they still can't get a fucking job. Scarpelli's all over it. And I was also confused by Christina. Is that her name? Who the fuck is she? Where is Peach?
Doesn't matter.
Who the fuck is Christina in the Mario games?
Who's Christina? What, Mario's girlfriend?
Is that not her name? It's something like that.
Daisy?
No, that's Luigi's girlfriend, Princess Daisy.
Isn't this your favourite movie?
Yeah. Melissa? Something like that.
Generic Italian-American female.
Anne-Marie.
And this is also where we find out that Daisy was the egg girl from the beginning of the movie, the naked baby, because she said that she was brought up in an orphanage and all that.
So far, the least believable bit of this movie then is that girl raised in Catholic orphanage becomes archaeologist. We know you were birthed from an egg, but they did not exist. Okay.
So they leave the restaurant, and we see two of the other villains now sitting outside watching them. This is Spike and Iggy. I think Iggy is from the games. No idea if Spike is.
Is Spike Bowser?
I don't think Bowser's in this, is he?
Don't know. No. I thought it was assumed that Bowser was the one that Koopa overthrew, but then that guy was like a mushroom boy of some kind. I don't know.
You know.
I don't think they completely stuck to the games with this movie, if I'm honest. Kind of veered off here and there.
I don't think they even played the games because they didn't get the characters right. They didn't even get them in the right clothes for most of it.
Just put them in a primary colour and put that camera on.
One of them's green, one of them's red. I don't think anyone knows who's who. It's fine.
Yeah, Spike and Iggy are watching from a car nearby, and they've been sent by Koopa to collect Daisy because they know that she's the princess heir of, I don't know, wherever the fucking dinosaurs live. And they're arguing over who to kidnap her. They're fucking useless. Mario and not Peach drive home together, and they think that is Daisy and follow them instead. And Luigi walks Daisy home. This is one of the scenes that was added where they thought we might need more exposition again.
That wasn't exposition, it was just the worst date in history. As they both talk back and forth going, no, I'm really weird. No, I'm really weird. You shouldn't date me. If you want to leave me, I would understand. It's
Florence and I have
awful.
that conversation daily.
They do
We're
a weird bit of
engaged.
trauma bonding over the fact that both their parents are dead and then go, you shouldn't be with me. I'm pretty fucking awful, to be fair.
Star-crossed orphans. I did like the bit with Spike and Iggy where they're after Mario's girlfriend thinking it's Daisy. And she's like, is that her? You sure that's her? And she's like, she's wearing a disguise. I can spot it a mile off. And it's clearly, it looks nothing like her. Even though humans in our universe look just like people in their universe, they can tell the difference. They must be able to.
To be fair, they've already kidnapped like 6 women and just keeping them in a room in their dimension. I guess their plan is just kidnap all of Brooklyn. And eventually we'll get her.
Well, Daisy offers to show Luigi the dig site, so she takes him over there. And this is where Spike and Iggy kidnap Peach. No, not Peach. Her name is Daniella. Yeah, I've written it below this note here. Daniella, that's this character's name. And Daisy's showing Luigi the dinosaur bones at this point. For some reason, Mario missed Daniella being kidnapped.
He dropped her off, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Of course he lives with his brother. Why would his girlfriend live with him? Daisy shows Luigi the dinosaur bones. They're all underground in this big blasted tunnel. And they just kind of look like dinosaur bones. I think maybe they had an extra finger that was supposed to be a thumb. And that's
she says that it's like a monster pretending to be human. It's even got opposable thumbs. That's her mum, right? That's where her mum died.
Is it?
I don't know. I mean, her mum died in the tunnel, and then they've just dug up some bones.
And it all collapsed in. Oh, shit.
Oh.
But why would her bones look like that when...
Why? Yeah, when she
was
looked
just
human.
a woman.
But she had a dinosaur's head.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll all make sense.
My brains are bleeding. Well, she's showing them the tunnel, and as they're looking, they see 2 men run out from the tunnel behind them, and they're wearing Scarpelli uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, this is the last time he's mentioned until the end of the movie.
It's a good job they do their sabotage in uniform.
Yeah, that's exactly what my notes are.
Do it under the cover of night, but make sure we're wearing our work gear.
Just so we can be so easily identified from a distance. What were they wearing? Oh, Scarpelli uniforms. Oh, right, it was them then, was it?
Well, otherwise, first you have to go home and change, and then come back out and finish your job, so it's easiest to go straight after work and then go home.
Do you know how bad the traffic is on the way home?
That Brooklyn traffic. Yeah.
That's why she walked 16 blocks for a payphone. Yeah, they fled the tunnel. They've turned on one of the pipes. But luckily, Luigi's a plumber, right? Mm-hmm. Wrong. He calls Mario, the only plumber in this movie.
No, he doesn't call Mario. They teleport to Mario's house.
They've run home to get him.
We need to go get Mario. Teleport to the house. Mario, we need your help. Teleport back.
Well, what are they going to do? Go to a payphone in Brooklyn? They might as well just fucking get him.
It's quicker to walk home.
Yeah.
Well, but luckily Mario does know how to fix this, which turns out just to be tightening a loose bolt that they loosened. And Luigi's just passing tools to him. I think he says at one point he's an intern or an apprentice or something.
He must have got to using wrench day of apprenticing by now.
Hasn't got his license.
Grab your belt, kid. We're going in.
I can't use a wrench without supervision, actually. So
I haven't got my wrench card yet. I'm not licensed to carry a wench. A wench? A wrench.
Well, Iggy and Spike have finally figured out what's going on, and they have followed Mario to the sewers, and they sneak in behind them and just brain them. They take out 2 big wrenches and smack these 2 boys.
Do they have a license for
full
those
force
wrenches?
over the back of the helm. They are using them incorrectly, so it doesn't even matter.
That's true.
This is what Luigi would have done if he'd tried to use. This movie's breaking me, man. I can't read these plot notes. And they kidnap Daisy. They descend into a cave system below the tunnel they're in, and Mario and Luigi pursue. And they jump through this fucking portal in the rock.
You can see her face like coming in through the wall, can't you? And it reminded me of, again, The Mummy.
Yep,
where his face is coming through the sand.
Oh, but that's sick in The Mummy.
What are you saying? This wasn't good, Evan?
You can take that statement and apply it to the entire fucking movie, mate. Don't narrow yourself to this scene. And they let her pop her head through like 6 times because they keep missing the necklace around her neck, and that's important for them. And then they grab it, and then they seem like they're going to head back into Brooklyn because Mario doesn't want any part of this underground nonsense. But they do jump in, and they end up falling through like concept images for Doctor Strange. It's freaky, like, I don't know if it's supposed to like mushroom related stuff.
Yeah, it's like in the game, isn't it? Where they're
No,
like,
it's
like
not.
in the
It is
game?
not. Nothing in this is like in the game.
when you get the power up, when you have the mushroom, when you're turning
Yeah.
into Big Mario, you go that yellow and red flashy colour, don't you?
No.
No?
You watched... See, that's the problem with watching this movie. It erases all other Mario knowledge for you. When you eat the mushroom, you go big. When you eat the star, you flash multicolour.
That's
and
what I
you
mean.
become invincible.
That's what I mean. They become invincible.
Fuck you. Fuck you, John, and fuck this movie.
Because what is a meteorite if it isn't just a fallen star?
Fuck. Oh. Let's just end it there. Evan can delete your audio and we'll just call it.
Oh, well, they end up in... I don't know what this place is really called, so I'm going to call it Koopa Town.
I believe it's called Dino Hatton,
Yeah,
which isn't better.
bad.
Koopa Town is probably better.
Let's call it Koopa Town.
We'll call it Koopa Town, because that's what my notes say.
Yeah.
And it looks exactly like New York, just a bit grimier. You still got your street DJs, you still got yellow taxis everywhere.
I haven't been to New York. Are there street DJs?
I guess so.
So it looks a lot like Evan's idea of New York. The world's pretty cool. As something that they've designed, it's pretty awesome. And all the
looks
cars are going
amazing.
round on like
Disagree.
tram lines almost. They're all attached to an electric wire.
Yeah.
And apparently the idea behind that was that because of where oil comes from, a society of dinosaurs would not use it for fuel, which is quite a cool idea that they do not explain in the slightest. And I found that reading Wikipedia.
That would have been
That's
good.
a cool fact. I wish I could have found that out watching the movie.
There's no way that was the intention of someone in the writing room. That is someone who is a fan of this movie, was scrabbling desperately for things that could add value to this, and thought of that and was like, that's going in the wiki.
Johnny's been on Wikipedia editing today.
What is a star if it's not just a fallen meteor? I would put good money on the person who designed the sets for this being the same person who did Demolition Man.
I have never seen it.
When they're
I
under the
have
city,
seen it. Yeah, but a very long
and that's
time
another
ago.
one I watched a lot when I was younger. Same sort of weird ones to cross over, but I watched that a lot, and it's very similar. That sort of it feels subterranean, and it's just dark and dingy and rusted and run down. I thought it looked amazing. It was really cool. Everything's sort of a bit Mad Max and sort of post-apocalyptic because it's this horrible place, isn't it? That's why Koopa, as we learn, they want to merge dimensions because we've got all the resources and clean air and food, and they've got nothing apart from desert.
They look the same. Or honestly, you're drowning in street DJs and plumbers, man.
Can't move for street DJs.
Well, Luigi disagrees with me because he says they ain't in Brooklyn anymore. And they're sort of making their way through the streets. Everyone is human, by the way. They look human. This movie does not have the budget to turn everyone into dinosaurs all the time. And this is a busy subterranean street. And a woman they bump into in the way in a very like New York fashion is angry at them for bumping into them. And I love that she called them egg suckers. It does come up a few times in the movie, but this is the first time. And I love that the equivalent to that in the overworld would be baby suckers. I don't have anything to expand on that, but I just couldn't not mention it. You baby sucker.
Oh.
Fuck you.
You can't teach them to do it, though.
They bump into this old lady on the street who's like pretending to help them. She's like, you got to be careful out here. This is a dangerous place. Everybody has a weapon. Do you have a weapon? And they, like the fools they are, say no. And then she just pulls out a fucking gat and attempts to rob them. She takes the little rock that's hanging around Luigi's neck. And just before she gets out of there, Big Bertha jumps in, throws this old woman over the railing and into the street below them. And she like lands in a taxi and just starts shooting people down there. And you think Big Bertha's going to give... she's just a big woman in a red jumpsuit, by the way, right now. We don't know her name is Big Bertha, but she will come later on. And she just rocket boots off. And it's like, fuck you, boys. And she goes about 20 feet in the other direction. And they're just like, that's lost now.
Did anyone get that reference? Big Bertha?
Oh, no.
Turns out she somehow is the big fish in the underwater level of one of the Super Mario Brothers. Somehow they made that connection. And went, yeah, that works. There's another one. This is definitely a video game movie.
I have such fond memories of those rocket boots. And not so much in this scene, but the following scenes.
Well, are they rocket boots or jumping boots? Because it seems to alternate between jumping for the first hour and a bit of the movie, and then at the end, suddenly they're flying boots.
Yeah.
And the connection to the game with those is that you put the bullet bills from the game in. That's the big bullet they use in Mario Kart, and they're in the game.
Yeah. They're just loading 40mm grenades into some shoes at this point.
Yep. And they put those in guns later and use them to actually shoot bullets, so who knows what they do. Just whatever you need in the scene.
The only thing I enjoyed about this so far was just the fact that they have like an America that's run by this dyed blonde hair, narcissistic wannabe dictator. Everyone's going around attacking each other with weapons, and you can't be safe from your own police force. And I was just like, if this was made now, we go, it's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah.
But somehow, this was made in 1993.
Yeah.
We skipped over this, but Koopa did at one point find out that Mario and Luigi have the rock he's looking for because he needs it. He needs to merge it back with the original meteor so they can merge the two worlds. And he put out a call to the police to arrest any plumbers you meet. And then at this point in the movie, Mario and Luigi are arrested by just the police. It's just the police. It's not like they don't fancy it up in any way. These are just police officers in a police car. And they pop them in the back of there and take them down to the police station. And this is where, when they're put in a cell, this is where we learn that their names are Mario and Luigi Mario.
Yeah. But they're arrested with Toad, right? That the busker is Toad.
Yeah,
sure. He's got the same name as a thing in the game.
He's got a name from the game. Yeah.
There's also Big Bertha, mate.
Toad is played by a guy called Mojo Nixon, who has songs, you might have heard of them, Jesus at McDonald's and Tie My Pecker to My Leg. You know, Mojo Nixon. But yeah, I did wonder why. I mean, at least give him like a funny hat or something.
What? There are dinosaurs in this. Make him a mushroom guy. Yeah. There are mushrooms. There's a mushroom guy in this movie.
That I assumed that was Toad.
In a bit, they give him a xylophone.
Classic Toad.
Yeah. You know, like in the game.
When the police are taking them to the police station as well, did you see how the police car stopped?
Oh, that is pretty cool. Yeah,
like an aircraft carrier.
Like an aircraft landing on an aircraft carrier. Yeah.
Which implies that none of the cars have brakes in this.
That is implied. Yeah.
So they have somehow like this tram system of electricity running all of their vehicles. They have rocket boots, but they haven't mastered the perfect art of brakes.
Toad provides a load of exposition about how the king is a mushroom of some kind, and Koopa is unhappy with that because he's being mushroomized or something. I don't know.
Toad says a thing about how some people think the fungus is the king, and then it turns out, yeah, that is actually what it is. These fucking nut jobs who have a weird theory. It turns out, yeah, that was it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just
cool.
Just watch the movie. If you want to know what that's about, watch the movie. But even then, you won't know. Mario and Luigi are then pulled into one of the little side rooms, an interrogation room, and they're approached by a guy. It turns out to be Koopa. He's just trying to trick them into giving him the rock. They don't have it because it's been stolen by Big Bertha at this point. He fucking freaks out. He slaps him. I did like that little slap. But then he was like, see, I am evil.
He's a clean freak for one scene and then it never matters again. It's like a character trait that is very important to him for one scene.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is supposed to be like a reaction to all the fungus. Because he knows the king is the fungus. But I don't know.
Would that scene have been better if we hadn't already been introduced to him? If that was our first introduction to him and you don't know who he is?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was played out a bit longer.
Yeah. He was played by who was it? Dennis Hopper, and I'm not someone that I was familiar with before rewatching this, and I did a bit of a deep dive into him. Turns out he was a rowdy boy back in the day. In an interview, he revealed that he consumed 28 beers and half a gallon of rum, coupled with 3 grams of cocaine on a daily basis at the height of his alcoholism.
Fucking hell.
He quoted, "It's not as hard as it sounds. If you mix the rum like I used to, then you can drink all day long, no problem. I used to get thirsty, and if you have a beer or two, you're not thirsty anymore." I'll be interjecting my 3 favourite Dennis Hopper moments throughout this.
Nice. Well, Koopa takes these boys back into, I don't know, it's not like his science room. There's a big chair in there with a big unit that goes over your head, and he's about to show it off. This is his de-evolver, which we already have a word for. It's devolve.
Maybe the game studio already existed and they couldn't use the name. I don't know.
It makes perfect sense.
This is Toad they've brought in because he's been playing too much music, like Toad does in the games.
So, is he descended from a toad? Is that how this world works? Or are they all descended from dinosaurs?
Well, Toad is a mushroom. He's a toadstool mushroom. That's why he's called Toad.
Not in this
Maybe
isn't.
the people who wrote this movie didn't know that and assumed Toad and went, Toad, dinosaur, yeah,
Near
close
enough.
enough. So yeah, you're probably right. And they stick this machine over his head and he gets turned into another thing I fucking hate, a Goomba.
Yes.
So in this one character, they've mixed 3 different things.
Yeah.
So they're all Koopas, technically, because all Koopas are those little dinosaur-looking things in the games.
Everybody want the dinosaur.
Just the main Koopa, it just happens to be his last name. And then he is Toad, and he gets turned into a Goomba, which is the little brown mushrooms from the game, if you remember those. They're the ones
they're the ones that
So they're just mashing it all into
really
one.
long coats on and then really broad shoulders and a tiny head, right? Those ones in the game. Yeah, I remember those.
Just like in the movie!
Yes. Exactly.
Just like in the great movie.
Perfect sense.
Well, Mario and Luigi aren't having any of that, and somehow they avoid all the guards in the room and they fumble around. It just seems like such first shot stuff. They were just like, yeah, that'll do. And they just push this guy somehow into the unit and turn the machine on, not knowing how it works. And every other machine in this universe, by the way, is a point and click gun type machine, apart from this one, because we haven't had a chance to show you those yet.
Yeah, we're shown that there are 6 Goombas in this room, and then they decide to attack the leader of the entire world, and they've all vanished. It's just one guy defending him. And so, yeah, they put him in the de-evolving machine. What's his name? The leader. Koopa.
King Koopa.
King Koopa. They put him in the de-evolving machine, and then now it doesn't work.
They take it off before it can do it, don't they, properly?
Who takes it off? He just kind of pops in and back out again.
Don't worry about it.
No one stops it.
His eyes turn reptilian for a moment, and then that's it.
Yeah. There's a scene later on where his face does a weird shift, but then it's sort of forgotten about after that. He almost looks like he might be morphing. Then it becomes irrelevant again.
But it would have been
Best
good
movie
to
ever.
see him slowly turning into a monster.
Oh, a slow de-evolution throughout.
De-evolution. Oh, I don't know anymore.
That's evolution.
De-evolution. Yeah, you said it. Sorry.
Would have
Fuck
been
me.
quite cool, but, that didn't happen.
Well, they escape, and now this is one of those famous teleporting scenes because they jump on like a grapple grinder that you get in other games, but definitely not Mario. They just go all the way through a building, which I thought was a separate building, but it turns out it's not, and they end up in the police station where we started off just now. But because they knew we're confused, they say that out loud for us, so we know where we are. And then
Tell, don't show.
we get to the garage of the police station because everything's just unlocked for these guys, and they steal a police car. It's just... because they're like, well, not everything can just be unlocked. Let's explain how they've gotten in this, and that can turn it on. And Luigi says, well, I spend all my time playing video games at home, and then he hotwires this completely alien technology.
I spend all my time just, I think he says sat on his butt or something, just playing video games. That's really alienating the audience of, the target audience of this movie, in a way. I'm just lazy, really. Lazy playing games. You know me.
But that's where he learned that skill. That now we all know how to hotwire an alien police car because we've all played video games, non-specific video games.
The car did look fucking cool though. It looked like something out of Mad Max.
Sick, yeah.
Like they had bars all on the windows and stuff, and they had like these big like scoop things on the front and stuff. It
looked like a cow catcher or a plough.
Yeah.
But it had police across the front.
Endless sparks. Every vehicle in this universe just has sparks flying off of it constantly.
It's going to be a lot of burning wires.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking. I was like, they're going to have some shorts is what's going to happen here.
Well, they speed through a city and it like cuts here and there, so we can't really follow what's going on. And that's because you can't comprehend how they end up where they are, which is just in a random tunnel where they shoot out the side of a cliff and they're saved by some fungus that they break through and they fall all the way down to the bottom of the cliff and then the car stops there and they can get out safely.
There's a bit about... John Leguizamo, when he talks about this movie, says that it was quite an adult movie, and then the studio wanted it to be more aimed at kids. And I really felt like this scene summed that up, as they're like smashing and driving through a dystopian world, and every now and again it just cuts to them two going, "You're a terrible driver. Well, you should drive next time." And then they go through a tunnel, then get caught by a big bogey that goes, and then a big boing sound effect. But I thought what was strange was they're being chased by the police and they're being flanked by two police cars being shot at. And then Mario slams on the brakes and those two cars shoot past each other and start shooting each other. And then they go through the tunnel and they can't stop because there are no brakes.
No, he goes on top of another car coming towards him, doesn't he?
Not for that bit, no.
Oh.
That's before.
Don't worry about it.
I found.
You're thinking too much, mate. You just got to let it happen. It's
never.
Also, how do they have an escape route when all the cars are on predetermined cables? How do they get away?
Oh, it's like a Tesla, mate. It's always charging until it's not.
I don't think you need charge to drop off of a cliff, to be fair.
It was the slowest car chase in history. I reckon they were maxed out at about 25 mile an hour. It was
this
impossibly
is tram
slow.
Speed.
Yeah.
Tram speed car chase.
Ding ding.
Well, those guys that crashed are probably okay then, to be fair, yeah. We cut back to Koopa's like lab at this point because he's sick of these boys not being caught and he blames it all on Spike and Iggy. So he puts them in the machine and they're afraid they're going to be de-evolved. God, I wish we had a word for that. But instead, he switches it to evolve and he makes them both autistic, I guess.
Yeah,
they're no more useful, but they can do square roots really fast now.
Can they, though? Because he said... You knew he was clever because he says, what's the square root of 26,481? And as we all know, it's 191. It isn't. It's 162.
Are you saying this movie's shit?
I'm saying that surely if you're putting that in the script, you would at least put it in a calculator first. You wouldn't just pick a number out your ass.
It's one of two things. It's either they meant it and the machine never really evolved them, or they thought nobody would ever sit down to actually analyse this movie.
Well, if that was an option all along, why didn't they do that when he was picking up like the wrong girls through the first fucking month of this whole ordeal? You would evolve them.
Why is the biggest question in this movie.
Why isn't Koopa spending all his time in the evolve machine? Then he'll know everything.
Just become an omnipotent being.
You pointing out that he wasn't right anyway does add to them being equally as useless after this as before this. They're no better. They have a better vocabulary. That's about it.
Yeah. They're not bright lads, are they?
And even if they were, the intelligence they gained, none of us would want Rain Man on our team when we're trying to do anything anyway.
Especially if they can't even get the numbers right.
All they did was say a number quicker.
I could do that. 12. But still wrong. I'm as right as they were.
now Koopa's plan is kind of coming into place, and he uses his little point-and-shoot gun to contact one of the security officers on this big sort of terminal that he's communicated with everyone across, and he asks them if all the guards are now training with the de-evolution guns. And whilst neither of you said that you had notes for this, I know if Sam was here, he would say that he has, because here he asks what humans would be de-evolved into. God, it'd be really useful to have a word there. And he says, is it mice? And the guard corrects him and says, apes, sir, monkeys. And Sam would say,
not the same thing.
Those are absolutely not the same thing. One or the other.
They look similar, though, don't
It's
they?
definitely one of those, but it's definitely not the other. So now Mario and Luigi are in the... I'm really sick of saying Mario and Luigi. My mouth can't take it anymore.
Mario and Luigi.
Mario and Luigi are in the desert. This is where they crashed through that tunnel, and they're wandering around. And they run into Iggy and Spike, and there's like a bit of a kerfuffle, and they manage to capture them. But then they team up, and they spot this like big old, what looks like a garbage truck. But they break into the back. There's some dudes with gas masks on in there. They beat them up, they put the gas masks on, and they sneak into the facility, back into Dinotown. Let's just get back there. None of this stuff matters. We're back in Dinotown. They've got gas masks on. And now their plan is to go to the club where Big Bertha was.
You did miss the best insult that John Leguizamo said to Spike and Iggy. Called one of them Biscuit Head. If that isn't a scathing hit at his inner self, I don't know what is.
Deleted the episode, Biscuit Head.
Yeah.
Fuck you, baby sucker.
What did she look like? She was really round. That's what he said about Big Bertha. Yeah. What the fuck? She was really round.
Well, they arrive at the club. Assumedly, it's called the Koopa Club because everything in this movie is just something we have with Koopa in front of it. And again, Luigi and Mario are in like bold colours. Luigi is in red, again, wrong. But this time Mario is in yellow, which is a colour of a character from the game, but again, not his. It's like whoever wrote this just sort of heard about the game and had seen maybe a clip of it and just did all this from memory. And I'm not the first person to say that. The reviews I read for bad reviews are all people being like, this is nothing like the game! But in their defence, this is nothing like the game. And I don't want to see an hour and 45 minutes of just two dudes jumping around, but you could get a lot closer than this.
She's named after the fish from the game, mate. What more do you want?
Perfectionist.
Princess Daisy, like in the game.
Daniella, like... Oh, no, wait.
It's this bit where they have that dance, isn't it? Where he's trying to get the stone off around Big Bertha's neck.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is where he dances with her. Mario is like the sexiest man alive and can seduce anyone. So.
I mean, to be fair, it's Big Bertha. I mean, when they're not like setting the bar high. She's a very round, corpulent woman, I'll have you know.
You biscuit head.
It's a weirdly sexual scene for a kid's movie as he bites the rock from between her cleavage. Yeah. And apparently in the original idea they were going to have strippers, but then producer stepped in and said, maybe not. Maybe don't do strippers.
I think it's a bit on the nose, you know. It's just there's strippers in every level of the game. We don't want to just be too close.
Women just don't pay the bills anymore. Putting Luigi through college.
They managed to get the rock from around her neck, and then there's like a whole kerfuffle on the dance floor. But then Lena, I think is her name, she's Koopa's mistress or some bullshit. She's played by the woman who was Petunia Dursley in Harry Potter.
Fiona Shaw, mate.
Yes.
Absolute legend of the screen.
I thought she was pretty good at this.
I think she's great in everything. And yeah, she did her best with whatever the fuck this was.
Yeah, and obviously they catch him because Mario is in the brightest yellow suit ever.
Mm.
Do they get arrested here?
No, they go to the back room, don't they?
They do go to the back room, and Big Bertha gives him a big old kiss, a very sexually charged kiss.
They just robbed her. How is... Apparently that's what she's been waiting for. I mean, I get that it's a reference to the game, but you know...
The movie needs to happen, Carl, okay? Yes, and Big Bertha together, kisses them on the lips, and then gives them 2 rocket boots each, and they fly out of the room, or jump, one of them. I can't remember which it is at this point.
Yeah.
But you specifically mentioned this scene earlier, Johnny. Why was this prescient for you?
It's the part where you see them load the little gun, the bullet things into the back.
Yeah, the bullet bills.
Yeah, and then they fly out of the ceiling holding onto the crate through the glass ceiling above them, and then they land. And that I designed in a little notepad my own little rocket boots because of this scene.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is fucking sad.
When he was a kid,
it really did.
He didn't do it after this.
He didn't say when he was a kid. It could have been this afternoon. I was picturing this afternoon when you said it.
But that bit was really stuck in my head. Really stuck in my head.
I'm worried that they're not called bullet bills, you know. I don't know if I'm just thinking of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah, they're bullet bills, because there's a sign in this movie that says bullet bills.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God. I love it when it tells us. Well, as they're running away, they get pinned between some, normal soldiers and some Goombas on this big old, walkway. One of them's got a flamethrower, and the Goomba has, one of those electroplod guns. Here, Luigi takes a moment to, say, just things that have happened in the movie. He says, soldiers, Goombas, Daisy, the Rock, to remind us all we will be here. Why we're here, rather. And I honestly feel like this scene was for specifically me, because this is where I paused the movie and I came back in on the scene, and I could not remember a single thing that had happened.
Previously on Super Mario Bros. 1993.
I refused to rewind, but luckily he said those 4 magic words and I knew everything that had happened and somehow had taken an hour to get through. And now we just cut away from that. They get away somehow. I don't think... Do you remember how?
No.
I don't think it's important.
Not really.
Yeah, they just get away. They teleport, probably.
Problem is he didn't tell us later on. He didn't give us a reminder, so it's gone.
I just love this next scene now, because Koopa's sat back in his little terminal office with all those consoles in front of him, and he's just ordering pizza from a guy. But to remind you, this is an alien place. He has pterodactyl tail, dino, lizard, hold the mammal, and no worms on the pizza. Just to remind you, this is another dimension. But the movie forgets to replace pizza, the famous Italian dish.
Well, dino and pterodactyl are both dinosaurs. So have they evolved into human-like things too, or did they not?
Are they cannibals?
Because he says he's descended from a T-Rex, which means that others aren't. So are they just getting people off the street and going into Papa John's?
Come on, out the back, you. We need some more dino tails.
Do they have tails? They look human to me.
Apart from when you're crushed by rocks and then you turn back into a dinosaur. Who the fuck knows? This movie is just saying things at this point and assuming we will continue to watch.
I'm going to give you my first Dennis Hopper favourite moment. This is when he was trying to find death in a Mexican jungle. In order to play a small part... In order to play a small part in a B movie called Jungle Warriors, Hopper travelled to Mexico where he had an unimaginable misadventure. After ingesting a mixture of tequila and LSD, the actor experienced terrible hallucinations and stripped off his clothes before wandering naked into the jungle. When local police found him, he tried to bait them into shooting him by fighting them and even begging them to kill him.
These are not as fun facts as I wanted, Johnny. It's quite harrowing.
Yeah, I feel bad for laughing now.
No, he's dead now.
What of?
Mexican jungle.
Yeah.
It comes for us all in the end. Well, now Mario and Luigi have ended up where they've wanted to be all along, in the boiler room of Dino Land. And they just start loosening every valve fucking possible. They're going to freeze this place to the core. And now we're at the 1:15 mark of the movie, and I only know that because this is where, after concocting this plan, they jump in that elevator and they've got their famous suits on, boys, and they're wearing the right colours.
Can we discuss the plan, though? Because I assume the plan is... Because it's mentioned later that lizard people are all cold-blooded.
Oh, shit, yeah, I guess that's why they did it.
So, good plan, right?
Good plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Never mentioned again, doesn't achieve anything. All the pipes are frozen later on, but...
The only people who complain about being cold are the kidnapped women.
Yeah.
Fuck, that would have been an interesting point. And then all the innocents you kill, along with that as well, who are just trying to live their lives under this fascist leader. But we get a super slidey tunnel later on, once all that comes from this.
Is it green like in the game?
No.
No, it's not, is it? Maybe.
But there is a tunnel, and that's enough, isn't it?
Oh, we've jumped over meeting Yoshi.
We have. He's in it later. We can mention it then. And they don't even call him Yoshi for like 5 scenes.
Yeah. He's the only one who actually looks like his character.
No, he doesn't.
Does he?
No, he fucking doesn't.
He looks like a little dinosaur.
I guess.
But Yoshi doesn't look like a little dinosaur, really, in the games. He's got a round, weird snout thing.
He looks more like Snoopy.
He is cute, Yoshi, but we'll get to him. So they put on their outfits. There's like an elevator ride where they hide behind the Goombas. And Luigi, although there's been no setup for this at all, like rocks them. And then they all start dancing together. But this is actually set up for later on in the movie where we find out Goombas love to dance and Toad distracts people with music.
They've got a rhythm in their soul, Ev. They've got a rhythm.
Why?
Why? Just why?
Johnny, why? Please. The movie didn't tell me, so I need you to tell me.
Oh, it tells you. It's because everybody loves to dance.
The only thing I can think of is that they're so stupid that they can't feel someone moving them around and that they're just very suggestible.
They just assume it's the music moving them.
Yeah. It moves us all in
hands,
one way or another.
just gently grab them by the hips and rock them side to side.
Touching me, touching you.
Everybody walk the dinosaur.
Oh no, please. Well, they escape through the hatch in the top of the elevator, which are definitely always open, and they get away from all the Goombas. We cut over now to the cell where all the girls and Daisy are being held. Oh no, at this point Daisy's been moved and she's being kept with Yoshi, who is just a little dinosaur that's in this, and I think this is the first time his name is said.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a few scenes on that, but it doesn't matter. He has absolutely no contribution to the plot other than being another thing you can point at and go, game?
He bites Lena on the foot, and seemingly doing no damage, and she stabs him, seemingly doing no damage.
Stabs him.
And Daisy just ditches him as he gets shanked. Cheers. Cheers for that.
But they're treating him like he was a dog, aren't they? Because they've got him chained up and he's the royal pet or something that they call him.
I was convinced he was going to be the dad.
Is it the equivalent of like Michael Jackson keeping a chimp then? An evolved dinosaur keeping an unevolved dinosaur.
What was it? Bobo? Was that his monkey's
Bubbles
name?
the chimp.
Bubbles. Bobo.
Oh.
Bubble.
It's not the worst thing he did. Well, Yoshi
Allegedly.
saves her.
Allegedly.
Absolute egg sucker.
Very good.
Yes, Yoshi saves her and she gets away. And she gets to like some other... It's another plain white room with another one of these like units in. And this is the point and click one. This is where it's confusing as to how you would control this. And Yoshi has now escaped that woman. She's just given
Is this a time crisis reference?
It looks like time. Oh, that's what I wrote.
So it's the screen comes on. Let's explain it for people. And you take out the gun and like Time Crisis, you point and you click but it's just a computer screen. So you're pointing at like the menu. You open settings.
Yeah.
You turn down the fucking gamma.
But yeah, it's just almost as many references to Time Crisis as the actual Mario game in this movie.
What's she actually doing here? Oh, she's talking to Mario and Luigi and she's guiding them back to where she is because they're lost in like the tunnels of the Koopa Tower they're in. And then as they get there, they can hear her calling. Koopa just arrives and arrests all of them.
Speaking of Koopa's arrests, I'm going to give you my second Dennis Hopper thing. This is when he shot a tree on LSD. Although Hopper has been reportedly arrested at least 7 times, this one stands out because of the bizarre nature of the events leading up to it. It involves him dropping acid and shooting a tree due to the intensity of his hallucinations. Hopper's biographer, Tom Folsom, gave the details of the incident. Hopper won LSD in a poker game, dropped it, and while tripping, shot a .357 into a tree thinking it was a grizzly bear. He then fled the scene, was eventually arrested and put in the same jail in which he filmed Easy Rider.
And this man thought the filming of this movie was unprofessional.
Well, I was wrong about them all being arrested, because in the scene just before then, Daisy tells Mario that Daniella has actually been taken to this same place, and he didn't know that she was kidnapped in the beginning because he just dropped her off at the house. So now he goes to save her. And so he does that. He sneaks into that room that they're all trapped in, and he sneaks along the railings in the top. Daniella sees him, and she's all quiet about it as he tries to save them. But then one of her gobby mates shouts out, and the Goomba sees Mario there, and he starts just flamethrowering the room.
I would have left her in the fucking room. Hi, Mario! I'd be like, no, there's no room for you on this mattress. You're staying here, love.
Well, he swings down from the railing he's on, and he boots that Goomba across the room. And he manages to get them all through that slippy, slidey pipe we were talking about.
On the Goomba mattress, is what he says. So, is the Goomba sharing a room with them? I'm gonna go to sleep now. Don't try escape, don't misbehave, don't touch my gun.
Nobody leave.
You gotta promise me that you're not gonna steal my gun. Come on.
Probably a slight flaw in de-evolving your henchmen and then putting them in charge of anything.
Yeah.
And they have a brain the size of a peanut.
True. But it could be worse. You could have been de-evolved into fungus like what's it was. Which, following the same thought track as if they've been de-evolved, right, and they're dum-dums, like they're really thick. If he had been further de-evolved back to fungus, which is how it's explained, he would have no thoughts, right? He wouldn't be sentient.
Well, you were defending this movie.
One
of us. One of us.
He's like giving them like little bombs, and he's giving them other stuff, and he's catching the car when it comes out the side of the fucking thing. Catches Mario when he falls down the hole when they think they're flying, which we skipped over. But so he's helping them actively. But if he had been de-evolved, following what happens to the Goombas, then he wouldn't have any intelligent thoughts at all.
Shit, you're right. We're an hour and 20 into this recording, and this is the first thing we found that's wrong.
Well, even some films, even some.
Well, somehow Luigi and Daisy, is going to call her Gloria. Might as well have. It's not as if it matters what her fucking name is. They got away from Koopa, and they all meet up with Mario and the other girls again. And this is the big confrontation. This is the fight scene. They use a rocket boot to kick him off the edge of the railing where they first entered Koopa World, whatever the place we're in is called, and he falls into this like vat in the middle of the room. And I do like this because it's a bit boss fighty, like generic game boss fighting, where he's like in a center point and he's got a grenade launcher. It's not Mario at all, but it does feel somewhat like a game. And then Mario like jumps across and he's hanging from the bottom of the vat and he's trying to climb up to get behind him. Somehow he does sneak in, even though he's lumping around. It's a very small space and Koopa should know where he is, but he does manage to get the jump on him and gets that gun away from him. And they're scrabbling over the rock, and it falls down into like the pit below them. It's just a street, actually. And Lena, who we've not mentioned at all, really, apart from when we talked about the actor, she grabs it and
she jets off.
She falls? She falls into the street.
Lena, who is only not in prison because Koopa just goes, release her. She betrayed him, stole the thing he wanted, and then gets arrested for it. And then I guess they forgot that, she's in scenes later on, so probably let her out.
Also, she falls onto this thing and she gets electrocuted, right? She wouldn't be electrocuted. She's not earthed anywhere. It's like if you stand on like a train line and you're not touching the ground, you don't get electrocuted. So she's just being shocked for no reason.
That is the
that's the
first
second
bit of
thing
this
wrong with
movie.
this movie.
I can't figure out what her plan is. Because she steals the stone and she's like, oh no, I'm going to be in charge of the universe.
Who says that? Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you? Because
you're just going to be the woman who puts them together.
Yeah, even when he decides he's going to merge the universes, he still has an army because you'd still have to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm convinced that he doesn't know. that the other dimension is bigger than Manhattan.
Much bigger.
Because his dimension is just one city. And he thinks that him and his 12 Gumbas with their guns are going to just walk in and take over our entire dimension. I think he thinks it is just Manhattan.
Also, neither of them can do anything. That's why they need Daisy, because she's the only one, for some reason, who can put the rock in the bigger rock.
Why are they trying to merge the dimensions? Their dimension fucking sucks, and they've got a portal into ours. Just come in. Your weird dystopian land covered in fungus, or the place that you're jealous of because it's really nice.
But they would never fit in because everyone would know that they're lizard people because they look so different.
Everyone nowadays thinks they're lizard people.
So here's where we see Lena attempting to merge the two universes herself, but that's why she needed Daisy. She gets absolutely fucking fried by this thing. Again, for like...
Why?
In the same 5 minutes.
What's special about Daisy?
You've got to stop asking why, because at this point we're not going to get
It'll
through
all make
this.
sense.
She gets, like, smashed into the wall, and Luigi says, well, she sure makes a good impression. And I get that she's made an impression in the wall, but you need a second part to that joke, the other impression. This is not the first time you've met. That's the issue. Why? Mario confronts Koopa with a bomb that the fungus has showed him about. Fuck it. That's another thing from the game. It is a funny scene where he winds it up and Koopa stops as if like it's a gun or something he's got pointed at him, and Mario puts it on the floor and it moves really slowly towards him, but it just falls off the edge.
Sponsored by Reebok.
And into the fungus.
Did you see that?
Yeah, it had little Reebok, well, not shoes, but on the bottom of its
Stickers.
feet it had, Reebok stickers.
Really?
That was one of the only bits of this movie I went, oh, that's actually a really funny scene, as the little bomb just keeps making his way and actually ends up where he's meant to be in the end.
Mate, the fuse on that thing is unreasonably long. He winds it up, they go into another dimension, do all this other shit, comes back and it's still burning. The fuse on this thing is like less than a centimetre, I would say. And it's still burning.
Nah, it's
unless that
inches,
too
right?
is sentiment and it wants to get to where it wants to be.
Oh, it's got eyes.
It's got Reeboks.
It's true.
Well, like you just said, because Lena pushed the rock somewhat into the meteor, and that's what you need to merge the two dimensions, Mario and Koopa specifically themselves get teleported over to the overworld, and they have like a little kerfuffle in front of a bunch of people who are stood around in front of the dig site.
I think this is solely just so Scapelli can show back up for a scene. So we have some sort of resolution to that shit that we all forgot about, as Koopa de-evolves him into a chimp.
And no one's phased.
I really wish devolve was a word, Cole, but unfortunately we're stuck with de-evolve. He gets de-evolved back into a chimpanzee.
Yeah, the chimpanzees we all evolved from.
But no one's phased by it at all. Even his number 2 guy, he just picks him up and like is holding this chimp. He's like,
but people cheer.
Well, that's weird, isn't it?
This is a
how peculiar
businessman who's just going about being a businessman. He wasn't kidnapping those women. All he does is have very punctual plumbers.
Yeah.
And he informs the university about the dinosaur bones they found instead of just blasting through them. He could have just told nobody.
No one had to know. He's a good guy. He's a good chimp.
Anyway, he's done now. And Mario holds up a very small mushroom to the de-evolver, and it turns into a slightly bigger mushroom.
So that mushroom evolved from a bigger mushroom.
Yes, that mushroom was once a bigger mushroom, Cole. And he throws it like a frisbee and disarms... Who is it? Koopa? Fucking hell. I'm at the end of my fucking rope here, please. Disarms Koopa, and just before anything else can happen, they're sent back to the other world because Daisy has managed to pull out the small piece of rock from the big meteorite. And just as they arrive back, Koopa's everywhere, so you think it's all over anyway. But this is where Toad shows back up, and the music comes back into play, boys, because everybody loves to dance. And Toad is here to play some sweet harmonica, and they're all distracted. And in their regular, just sort of hustle about the set and look like you're doing action, but really all you're doing is scuffing along the floor, they manage to wrestle the gun from Koopa, and they shoot him a couple of times with the de-evolver. he turns into like a reptilian creature, then into a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then just into goop.
Yep. And this is when I realised what this movie is. It references one thing more than it references Mario. It's the Wizard of Oz. We aren't in Brooklyn anymore.
Yeah.
In order to use those stompy jumpy things, they have to click their heels together, and then a red light turns on.
They do.
The henchmen gain brains. Luigi gains a heart when he falls in love with Daisy. And then Mario ends up with bravery, because he's afraid of heights, and then has to fight Koopa on that thing. But in the original script, he had to climb up a skyscraper in order to fight a full-size T-Rex. And then at the end, he gets devolved into goop, and at one point he even says, "I'm melting."
Yeah, he does.
Oh, fucking hell, there we
It's
go.
the Wizard of Oz.
It is.
Oh, and they go to another land.
Yeah.
Quite a big thing in the Wizard of Oz, yeah.
See, this is why I didn't want to do this film that much, because I don't have it in me to have this be ruined.
Oh, and because she's called Daisy.
Yeah.
When her name's supposed to be Princess Peach, and I assume that's just because it starts with a D. So Daisy, Dorothy, close enough. I assume they were going for.
Only thing I disagree with, Carl, and that Daisy is in the games.
What?
She's the other princess. I think it's maybe Luigi's interest. I think it's because people were like, why is Luigi always like being the cuck?
Was she in the games in 1993?
Peach. Oh, I don't know. I'm not enough of a game historian to know.
Perhaps
I'd
she
assume
was
so,
inserted
unless
afterwards.
the character was based on this.
Imagine if we did our research, eh?
I know, yeah. Well, the villain is defeated and our boys are celebrated as heroes. Everybody celebrates. They do a little lap of everyone in the crowd and get claps on their little rocket boots. The Goombas take a very much we were just following orders approach and just put down their guns and reintegrated into society.
Off to the Hague.
We cut to the big old mushroom thing on the ceiling. That was in a few scenes, but it was not worth noting. That was the king, and he just drops down from the ceiling and re-evolves into the king.
Right.
Heaven knows why. Does that mean all science experiments just undo themselves after scientists die?
He wasn't re-evolved or evolved or whatever term is used. So it's either that or he always had that opportunity and just never did. He also evolves back into having clothes on.
He also evolves into Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
Very famous actor, which means these arrogant bastards thought they were getting a sequel.
They absolutely thought they were getting a sequel because the next scene is that.
Well, the next scene is she shows up at their flat to say, "I need your help," and she's all armed up with her gun, looking like a guerrilla warrior.
Yeah.
Probably fighting her dad, if we're honest. We don't know this is a good guy. No one's that sad he's gone, and no one knows he's back when they're all cheering.
No.
At the end. When everyone's dancing around at the end, no one knows he's back. They just know Koopa's gone. And no land ends up that shit in 20 years. Yeah.
She comes in through the door and says, "You're never going to believe this." And Mario immediately says, "I believe it." Believe what? She's not told you anything yet. Also, there's a bit on the telly saying earlier this day, and it's like, Mario, we're on the telly, and in the news report they're saying earlier this day the Goombas came through or whatever and turned Matey Boy into a chimp. So between that morning and now, there seems to have been a huge civil war. I don't know if time passes differently, but it's gone to shit real fucking quick.
She met Dad once and realised, oh, this is a bad guy. We've all been there.
This is not the guy.
Maybe Koopa was
this
actually
guy is
a
fungus
goodie.
still.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, boys, and even though Johnny did get me at the very beginning of this podcast, thankfully there was never a sequel to this. And before we get to our opinions about this wonderful joyride we've had, shall we get into some bad reviews? And I know you've got some calls, so do you want to go first?
I can go first. So, this is Bob Hoskins' 2011 interview, where he was asked, "What's the worst job you've done?" And he said, "The Super Mario Brothers." "What's been your biggest disappointment?" "The Super Mario Brothers." "And if you could edit your past, what would you change?" "I wouldn't do the Super Mario Brothers." And then there's another one that says, "The whole experience was a nightmare. It had a husband and wife team directing, whose arrogance had been mistaken for talent, fucking nightmare, fucking idiots. And that was Bob Hoskins again.
Was it? That's amazing.
That is excellent.
Still angry about this movie.
I don't know why.
17 years later.
Okay, I'll get into mine now. So these are all from Letterboxd, and this first one is Trove, and he gave it half a star. The super piss shit kill yourself stupid ugly bastard bros movie. That's it. Now this next one I'll give the name after, and I'll do the review first, but it's also half a star. I know I'm not alone on this, but man, aren't Italians just the worst? Not just because they're slippery and tumultuous, but mostly because they're annoying and bad at math. So when I got asked on a date to see the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I knew I'd need to do a near-lethal dose of drugs to inoculate myself long enough to not scream obscenities at the screen for hours on end.
Is this Dennis
Fortunately
Hopper?
Fortunately for everyone, my date had a bit of a drug problem and a hankering for popcorn. We spent the entire movie drooling, rubbing our buttery fingers on each other's sweaty bodies and hiding kernels in places that would leave you confused for weeks. Needless to say, we had a very creamy time. And that is from Timey Creamy Boy.
That is
Now,
fucking
as if
mental.
I haven't made enough mistakes recently. It's here I realised that I was taking reviews from the wrong Super Mario Brothers movie, and this is the 2023 one.
Right.
But I thought they were applicable for both, so I left them in.
Yeah.
But I've just got two more from the actual movie here now. I like this one because he has split it into sections. So this first one is general review. The most movie of all time. This movie was definitely a movie. It had a lot of actors and some dialogue. I think there may have also been plot. Not 100% sure on that. Tips and tricks. To get the best viewing experience possible out of this movie, try the following. Wear a blindfold, wear earplugs. Target audience. If you've ever wondered what it's like to sit through an hour 44 of brutal, unrelenting torture, then you are the exact target audience for this movie and who it was aimed at. Conclusion. This movie managed to make me shed a lot of tears, not because it was sad, but because I kept thinking it was going to end, and it kept continuing. Okay, last one, and this is just part of another review I thought was funny. This is by Ben Affleck, and it's half a star. I'm one of the few people to have seen it in the theatre in 1993. I hated it even when I was 12 at the time. There was me, my friend, and another guy in the movie theatre, and the other guy kept laughing at every joke. I thought he might have been retarded to laugh at this nonsense. There you go.
Good Lord.
That leads quite nicely into what I wanted to say. So I was looking into the making of this, and the first draft was written by the writer of Rain Man, and it was a story about two brothers who go on a road trip. And I can't help but think that maybe he just took his Rain Man script, find and replace Rain Man, Luigi, because that is the plot of Rain Man, and even everyone else thought so. And I just wonder which one of them was going to be autistic in this movie. And Dustin Hoffman was also almost Rain Man. Rain Man? Also almost Mario.
Mario. Fucking hell.
Jesus Christ.
Which would have been fucking terrible.
Yes, thank God this wasn't terrible. And that brings us nicely to the main question of the pod. And this was your pick, Johnny. So this question's coming at you first.
Yeah.
Johnny, so you think that was good, do you?
Well, like so often when we do these things, I go into it with a certain mindset of how I felt after the film, and then we tear it to shreds, and then I come out feeling slightly different. But I'm not even gonna read what I read. Read what I wrote, because reading it back now, it's embarrassing, frankly. I did still really like this film, but it clearly has a lot of issues. I think if I didn't have the nostalgia that I had from when I was little, there is no way that I would enjoy this film, and I can understand why you didn't. I will say that the sets in it were amazing, but that's pretty much where it ends, I think. I think the actors, given what they were given, did all right jobs. I think Bob Hoskins was pretty good. I think it was one of John Leguizamo's first films as well, wasn't it? It was like his first or second one, I think. Yeah, he did fine. It's really hard to pick up the pieces after what we've just done. but yeah, no, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. No, I don't think it was good, but I did enjoy it, so that's different.
Carl?
Best movie ever, mate.
Fuck off.
No. I mean, I don't know where to start. Apart from everything we've said for the past hour and 40 minutes. It's just awful. And the only interesting thing about it is everything that happened in the behind-the-scenes stuff. This movie went through an incredible number of rewrites because the two directors apparently decided this was going to be their Batman somehow. Quote.
Oh, yeah. Not quite.
Yeah, you can sort of see the issue. It's a lot of some things and therefore also a lot of nothing. It's so many different ideas shoved together. A whole lot of Wizard of Oz. And
as we discovered.
And I don't know what the message is. It's a bunch of people banished to an awful dimension because a meteor hit. They didn't do anything wrong. Living the worst life. And we need to stop them coming over to the nice dimension. And then we succeed. Hurrah, the end.
It's all a bit bleak when you put it like that, isn't
it? Because they don't look like us.
Except they do.
Oh, yeah,
they definitely do, yeah. Exactly the same. I'm sorry, Johnny. I know this holds a special place in your heart, but this is what this podcast is for.
Yeah.
This was atrocious from beginning to fucking end. I really wanted to find something in it I could enjoy, just to have some nugget for you, but this is up there for me and the worst movies I've ever watched, not just for the pod, but in fucking general. If I'd gone to the cinema to see this, I'd have walked out in the first 20 minutes. You can keep my 20 quid. I'm fine leaving. This would have been a better movie if it was not connected to the Mario Bros. IP at all. This could have been some weird cult classic where they're not plumbers, there's no weird name drops.
Agreed.
And this is just a weird dystopian movie. They're really interesting things. We touched on a few of them, and one I really liked was that there was this mushroomy boy that had been turned into this monster by the villain, and a whole subplot which could have taken place where that thing you did, that really evil thing you did, that it could have been your friend, someone you worked with, is slowly taking over the city that you've inherited as a monster. But instead, that's all kind of like glazed over, and then he pops out as a human again at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This wasn't Mario Bros. No. I didn't need it to be, particularly, but I would have liked it to be something.
The whole, this could be our Batman thing, I think, is where it falls short. Just make your own Batman thing then. Don't just get an existing IP and script and go, let's just change everything and make it dystopian, dreary, bit cyberpunk, because that worked in Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those, but I'm so afraid to do them now.
They took a really fantasy-based script and sci-fi'd the fuck out of it. The one that followed the Rain Man script was very much based on the game, and then they got two writers to sci-fi it up, and then Nintendo was still cool with that, and they went, no, it's not sci-fi enough, I want a dinosaur city through a portal in a different dimension because they got knocked through there by a meteorite. That was all them, and it's all fucking awful. And when you have to have an opening monologue going, imagine all these things happened.
Okay. You're going to need some setup.
Get pen and paper ready.
You might wonder how we got here. One thing I did say in my initial roundup thing, it's a feature-length film based on a computer game. I think they did as good as they could have. But thinking about it now, it's a 16-bit computer game, and they had so much room to play with that. They could have done so much with all of those characters, made them even look like some of them, That would have been helpful.
But the Mario games have a lot of very distinctive worlds. Yeah. And yet they made a world that looks like none of them.
They could have gone to different worlds. They could have been dimensions within the dimensions. It could have been like that.
Yeah, it needn't have been like the big fan. I know this film probably had a budget, and that's why they couldn't do a lot. There are magma worlds, there are underwater worlds. Just do some of those. It can't be that hard to do. But hey, we got the new one that's out now. Maybe that's good. Although from the reviews, definitely not. Since they were indistinguishable to me from these reviews.
Well, looking into this, though, I read that the first good video game-based movie apparently is Detective Pikachu.
It is not
That
good.
movie's fucking terrible.
I've not seen
Try
it.
to watch
That
it.
ending
It's real bad.
is...
I did not get to the ending. I turned it off. And I like Pokemon.
But it's Resident Evil, though, right?
The older ones, not the TV series.
Yeah, the early 2000s, Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, I like those. They aren't the most accurate, but the first couple are pretty good. Yeah, I really like them.
It's that.
The first two particularly.
It's that or it's Alien versus Predator.
I suppose that was a game.
That was a 90s or early 80s game. I'm into late
I
80s
love that
game.
movie.
It's not Detective Pikachu.
I did like the Assassin's Creed film, and a lot of people didn't, but I thought that was good. But then I fucking love Assassin's Creed, so...
I went to the cinema to see that with my granddad. He was so excited, but I'd had a spliff beforehand, and he surprise texted me, and I was like, I got to go with him. He's asking me. And I fell asleep. And then I woke up for the last shot of the movie, and then the credits rolled, and he was like, oh, that was really good, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. I love Assassin's Creed.
Tell you what, boys, after that absolute shit show, shall I give you my last Dennis Hopper story?
Yes.
This is when he snorted a dead woman's ashes. Despite the twisted nature of the previous entry, this Easy Rider tale takes the cake. Everyone wanted to kill one another or put the other one in institutions, Jack Nicholson once said, and stories like these reinforce the wild claim. Nicholson, Hopper and Fonda consumed a lot of drugs during the making of Easy Rider. They spent most of the time at the headquarters of the production company, where secretaries had specialised training to deal with severe drug addicts. One day, the three stars ended up snorting the remains of the executive's dead wife whilst they were looking for cocaine.
Fucking hell. That's mad.
I reckon he could give Robert Downey Jr. a run for his money back in his heyday.
Join us again next
week.
week.
Yeah, what a note to end on. Thank you, boys, so much for joining me. And thank you all for listening. Please remember to give us a 5-star review over on Apple Pods and Good Pods. And find us on socials at So You Think Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Join us again next week, where we will likely make an equal mistake in watching this by watching the number 23 starring Jim Carrey. If we do indeed watch that, it might turn out to be so bad we cannot do it.
And if Evan doesn't delete it after you've watched it.
If I don't delete this episode again.
Please don't.
Until then, I absolutely deserved every second of this. Goodbye.
Everybody walk
The dinosaur.